Welcome to the Mousekast podcast. It's yet another Tuesday night. But for this one, you determine our chats as you join us for open mic. This is where the mind meets the magic. We dive a little deeper every time. Theme parks, cruise ships, and travel. If you don't listen, baby, now it's time. Tonight on the show, we open up the door. We will start with some news and chat, and then give the viewers the floor. So join us now for an amazing show as we begin to see what you can do for an open mic night of fun as we see what topics come from you. Mousekast Pod.
All right, guys, welcome to Mousekast. I am filling in for the infamous Chuck this week, who is on a boat. Chuck is enjoying. Chuck wanted to share a photo with everyone. I'm going to start right off with it. This is why Chuck can't be with us tonight. He is on the hunt in the Caribbean for a comb, but that is what he's looking for. He is enjoying a 3-day cruise and having an absolute blast. And it's, windy hair, don't care when you're out at sea. That's all that matters. So want to wish Chuck all the best on his cruise. We're a little envious. I'm sitting in Florida right now with a horrendous thunderstorm rocking in the background. So if you hear thunder or see flashes of light in my room, I apologize. We got some craziness. But want to welcome Meahan and Matt to the show as well. How you guys doing this week?
Doing good. Wishing I was on that cruise ship. I got 100 degrees, but I can't find a beach or a cruise ship anywhere near me, and I wish I could.
That's awesome. How about you, Matt? How you doing?
It's 64 up here. I was down in Virginia over the weekend, and it was about 90 and humid. I come back, and it's just like, New England strikes again. So...
Well, I will say my daughter is up in New England too, so she's up in the Boston area, and she has been saying it's been hit or miss. There's been a couple days it was really hot too. So typical New England weather. You don't like it, wait 5 minutes. Exactly. Typical Florida weather. It's raining, 5 minutes later it'll be sunny, warm, and beautiful. So never know what's going to happen.
I was going to say, we definitely hit the time of year where if any of you who are listening are in any Facebook groups, you'll see the posts of, it says it's going to rain in Florida while I'm at Disney. Are they going to shut down the parks? Or I'm at Disney and it's raining. What do I do? The answer is you go to the park, because it is going to chase a lot of people out, and you go and you enjoy the rain. You put your poncho on, grab an extra pair of socks so you don't have wet socks, or wear sandals.
What's a poncho?
Yeah, okay, fine. Hawk's just going to get wet. Some of us, I don't need to be drenched head to toe as I'm, making my way through the parks every day. But definitely, if you are at Disney or Universal or anywhere else in Florida enjoying the outdoor theme parks as it's raining, enjoy them in the rain. I love the theme parks in the rain.
So you bring up an interesting point there, and it's one I actually want to jump back to, because I want to talk about Epic Universe in the rain. There's been a lot of commentary about that over the last couple of weeks. But before we jump into that, one of our viewers actually texted me with a topic to go over tonight, and I'm curious to everybody's thoughts and why. So when you visit Disney or Universal for that matter, or any theme park, are you a rope dropper, or are you a park closer, or are you like me and you're both?
If it's adults only, I'm both, 100%.
Okay.
Right now, with my kids, we're early morning people. We are rope drop all the way, every day.
Okay.
Of rope dropping.
Now, do you, Meahan, with the littles, same for you, Matt, with the littles, do you find yourself going back midday to take that like mid-afternoon nap and then try to do the late night as well?
We go back in the middle of the day, but we don't do, I don't say we don't do the late nights. We've closed a couple of parks. We don't do the late night entertainment part of it because my kids don't like fireworks. They don't like the loud noises. So that's kind of a no-go at this point for us. But we've
Okay.
stayed out pretty close. We've closed down Epcot, but I think 9 o'clock is maybe the latest. We've never closed out Magic Kingdom, even with the littles at this point. Haven't made it. We love the afternoon back at the resort, though. We usually go back for 2-3 hours.
Chris says he at least tries to be a rope dropper. So, that's a good thing. Those of you that don't know the terminology, we may have some people watching tonight that don't know the terminology. Rope dropping is being at the park at the moment it opens and already ready to go, waiting in line. It's very helpful at theme parks. Whoops, we lost Matt for a second there. Matt's playing magician tonight, little Houdini. He'll be back momentarily. But one of the things I think is really cool about being able to rope drop the parks is it does give you the ability to get in and experience a lot before the crowds kind of manifest. And usually at parks, there's one or two destinations that the whole crowd kind of gravitates to. And if you don't gravitate to those spots, you can often get 3 or 4 things in prior to waiting in that crowded line. And especially at Disney, that can be a game changer. Do you try to do that with the kids, Megan? Do you try to?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We go in, we try to do probably 3 or 4 rides, really knock out the first half hour in whatever park we're in. And this goes for even when we don't have the kids. We rope drop, and we usually do some sort of like snack breakfast back at the room. We usually don't buy breakfast before rope dropping. We'll bring stuff with us that we'll eat. And we will plan. I love my table service meals to be in the middle of the day or like a late breakfast, because you get in, you rope drop the park, you take advantage of that extra half hour, the first hour or so that the park is open to the public, and then you have your dining reservation at like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, as the parks are getting crowded, more and more people are getting there. You've already knocked out a ton of stuff on your list. It's time for a break. You sit down, you have a meal while everybody else is standing in 45-minute lines for all the things in Fantasyland. And we love that break. That's also a natural break. If you don't want to go back to the resort, or if you're not staying at a Disney resort and so it's too much of a hassle to leave and go back to wherever you're staying and come back later, we love those midday, step out of it, get out of the heat, get out of the crowds, avoid some of that stuff, and just kind of take that break, maybe meet some characters if you're doing a character meal. We love Crystal Palace over in Magic Kingdom. And we knock out rides early on, and then we do the meals a little bit later.
And Houdini is back. Just like that. We'll switch the view there so we get you in, so we don't just see one cheek. Turn the other cheek is one thing, buddy, but
oh boy, okay.
No, you're fine. So, people that are new to the show tonight, feel free to comment with questions or anything. Tonight is open mic night at Mousekast. We're talking about Disney, Universal, theme parks, cruise ships, travel, whatever you want to bring up in topics. We're kind of open to it. And if you want to ask the host questions, feel free to jump on and let us know what you're thinking. We're really just here to kind of have a conversation with you guys, and we're curious to what people are wondering about. Megan, we were talking when we opened, and Matt as well, about doing theme parks in the rain. And there are some safety concerns, obviously, when the rain comes into play. Strangely enough, the first couple of times I was at Magic Kingdom, when things really, really, really kind of get crazy with rain, it floods. And the back part of the park gets pretty full. Like, you can be talking knee-deep water you're wading through in parts of these parks. And it's not the most exciting water you want to be wading through either. It's not, exactly. You might want to find a shower afterwards. But the parks get pretty deep, and some of them can flood out pretty bad with those downpours in Florida. One of the things that has already been brought up as a problem for the new park, Epic Universe, is that, one, there are very few inside attractions that run during the rain. Even the carousel undercover has had to be delayed due to weather. So with only 11 attractions at Epic Universe, Monsters Unchained, Mario Kart, and the Harry Potter Battle of the Ministry, are the only rides that are fully enclosed and inside. So weather can greatly affect that. And they've had some problems over the last couple of days as we're getting into that humidity season in Florida where we get the afternoon thunderstorms. I guess Nintendo World specifically has had a lot of issues with people falling on the stairs, falling in the area. Since the crowds and capacity has increased, it's also a tight area to begin with. And then you're putting that many people in, you're making everything wet. It's been a little bit of a safety concern. So I am expecting Universal to make some changes to some of the surfaces in the parks. But I'm curious for you guys, how do you navigate parks? You know, Meahan, you said you throw your poncho on and you go for it. But what are you doing? How does it alter your choice in rides? Because a lot of the outdoor rides get shut down in those experiences. So how do you shift that to still be effective and enjoy theme parks?
Well, I think for me, when it rains, you just go with the flow because things are going to get shut down. Universal, Disney, wherever you are, the outdoor stuff is going to get shut down. If there's lightning in the area, even more so. I have been caught on Seven Dwarfs when it wasn't raining when I got on the ride, and then they took us outside, and oh hey, it was pouring, and so we got drenched. One of my favorite memories of Disney. I mean, the rain can kind of build those moments. If you're lucky enough to be on Main Street when it starts raining, grab some pictures because rain pictures in front of the castle, oh, those are great to have. But as far as, the plans, you have to be ready. And this goes rain or not. When you do a theme park vacation, you have to be ready just to go with the flow at the moment. The weather is going to be a part of your trip, whether it's extreme heat and sunshine or rain, whatever that is. Use the app. Look for the short wait times that are hopefully close to you, so you're not like trying to sprint across do not try to run through a park in the pouring rain either. You will fall. It will not be good. But take it slow.
See if you can rent a kayak, get an inflatable paddleboard. There's things you can do. One thing I do find interesting when it rains, and Chris brings up, if it's raining, he tries to find an indoor attraction or a place to duck into until the rain stops. One of the suggestions I used to make to my travel clients is, especially during the summer months, it is pretty much guaranteed that sometime between 3 and 5 p.m. you're going to get a thunder shower. Over the last couple of years in Florida, that time has actually grown a little later. It's 5 to 7. It feels like it. I mean, we're getting one right now at 8:45. So it seems like the times have gotten a little later. But one of the things we do and used to try to do is book a sit-down reservation, maybe a character meal, in the mid-afternoon when those thunder showers would normally be hitting between 3 and 5 or between 5 and 7, and try to sit out the rain. And then by the time we're done, we walk out and it's the rainbows and it's everything's wet, but the rain has gone and you kind of get the opportunity to sit through it. So during a rainstorm at Disney, it's a great time to go take advantage of getting some food. It's a good time to go take advantage of shopping opportunities. So there are things you can do. So, Meahan is go out and enjoy it. I had a Dumbo story similar to your Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Jen and I sat down, got buckled into Dumbo. And if you've ever experienced like the real heavy Florida downpour, when it very first starts, you get that like half-gallon drip that just smacks you in the head right before this. It's like it literally feels like someone threw a 16-ounce bottle of water and it just went boom on your head, but it's one raindrop. That's what we experienced on Dumbo right as it started, and then the skies opened, and it was one of those torrential, like hurricane-worthy bands of rain going across with the wind. And we're spinning on Dumbo going, oh my God, the bottom of Dumbo had 4 inches of water in it. We get out, we're like sopping wet. We run over to the store on the other side of the street. We get inside, it's AC. So now you're like 70 degrees from your 90-degree rain, but the air temperature dropped 20 degrees as well. So it feels like 50 in the store and you're shivering in there. I won't say it was one of our best memories ever, but it is one of our most memorable memories ever. So Matt, what do you and your family do when it rains? How do you handle it with the kids? What do you try to take advantage of? What do you do?
So we've kind of been lucky not to hit a lot of rain when we've gone. The amount of times that we've gone, we're kind of like usually out of, I hate to say rainy season, which there's always rainy season in Florida, I feel like. But like usually we go early spring or like middle of fall. So like November or like that April, May time. So it's not like there's not a whole lot of rain. But the few times that we've had, we've run into rain. I don't think we've done it with the kids yet, but we just stuck inside and grab a drink somewhere. I know we did a French trip and we were sitting at Animal Kingdom Lodge and we just like, hey, bar's open. Let's just sit here, relax, just kind of take a breather from the day and just kind of watch the storm go by because they had the glass windows where we were. So it was pretty fun and just got to relax from the running around, open and close and stuff like that.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So rain-wise, we all agree it doesn't stop you from doing anything. You're down there, you're going to go out and experience it, and you're just going to get wet. Now, this is a good reason to consider something I'm going to bring up, too, that I learned the hard way, bringing a second pair of shoes on your Disney trip. If you're rain day and you get soaked, trust me when I tell you, you're going to want another pair of sneakers the next day. Even if you leave them out sitting in the sun, it's probably not going to be dry enough right away. You're going to want that second change. So like 2 pairs of sneakers is always a really smart call. Or at very least 2 pairs of comfortable shoes that you can alternate. Doesn't have to necessarily be sneakers. Some people wear Crocs for a day or whatever. That's fine. But having 2 pairs of comfortable shoes on any Disney trip or theme park trip, hugely important because just the simple shift of your footwear from one day to the next can also be a game changer just to give your feet some relief when it's really tough in those parks.
Absolutely.
The next question we have from a viewer who is texting me because he can't comment online, but he did text. He's curious, park hopper or taking your time at one park per day? What do you prefer and why? And again, guys, tonight is open mic night. So viewers, if you have questions, put them in the comments. If you have comments to share on what we're asking, please share your opinion with us. We're super curious to what everyone else feels. And the more we share and are able to talk about this, the more we can help other people get more views, more information, and more understanding about the best way to Disney or Universal for themselves. So that's part of why we try to do this. So Nick is curious, park hopper or 1 park per day? Matt, you start us out.
Depends on length of stay for me.
Oh, okay.
Because you might it could be if you're going like for more than a week, I say do park hopper because it kind of gives you that you have more time to if you get bored in one park, you can move on to the next park. And
okay.
You can go back another day if you wanted to, or let's say you want to go over to Magic Kingdom 3 times because in my case, I've got 2 little kids that love Magic Kingdom. So it kind of gives you that flexibility. And shorter trips, personally, I'd probably go on 1 day. Because I feel like, you're going to spend, we got, I did the 48-hour trip, and I think we were going to do a park hopper just for 1 day because I figured Hollywood Studios might just be a half day for us. And then we can go over to Epcot because it was food and wine. But the next day it was my wife's birthday, and we were definitely doing Magic Kingdom all day. So if it wasn't for we could have done Epcot all day realistically.
So you would do...
it depends on the stay for us.
So you would do park hopper for the longer stays?
Yeah.
Okay. That's an interesting take because I would actually roll the other way on that one. but that's
Right, I could see that. It's just a matter of, like I said, if it's a first time thing, then maybe go. It's all situational. Like to me,
okay. No,
we've
that
been so
that
many
makes
times.
sense. I'm just surprised. That's an interesting way to look at it for the
Yep.
freedom of the longer stay to be able to bounce to where you want to when you want to. It just the whole trip. Like
Right.
I would do that more on a short stay, trying to get that focus in. Megan, how about yourself? You're park hopper all the time?
I'm park hopper all the way, and this is not has nothing to do with my children. Although for people who have kids, first of all, if you're overwhelmed by Disney, one park per day is a great way to go because you don't want to try to completely overdo it by trying to move between the parks.
And as a travel agent, Megan, what's another reason that one park per day is a great way to go?
Well, I mean, again, it depends on your length of stay. I really only recommend the one park per day to my clients if they're first timers at Disney and they're overwhelmed by like there are 4 parks and we got to decide what we're doing. Other than that, I recommend park hopper to my clients. And the reason for that is that, especially a lot of my clients have kids. Doesn't matter what age they are either, kids of any age. Your kids are going to fall in love with something in a park, but they're going to fall in love with one thing at that park. Your little girls are going to fall in love with Anna and Elsa and the Frozen ride, but they're going to hate the rest of Epcot. Maybe. The park hopper allows you to go to Epcot on your last day to do that one thing first thing in the morning and then get out of there and go back to Magic Kingdom where they want to spend the rest of the day. It gives you the flexibility to do what your kids want to do without them complaining that like, but mommy, I wanted to do this thing one more time, but you don't want to spend an entire second day in that park where that one thing is located. I love the freedom of that. I think for me, it also feels like because with my kids, we actually go back to the resort in the middle of the day. And so we have that break. And so going to a new park in the evening, if maybe we had a rough morning in Magic Kingdom, I don't know, let's just change the mojo of our trip and not go back to that same place where we didn't have a good morning. We didn't start off well. Let's go someplace new, someplace fresh. With adults only, same deal. I want something fresh for the evening. Now, glimpse into how I plan my own personal trips. If I'm going, we tend to go right now, all of our trips tend to be minimum 5 days in the park, maybe 6. And when I look at how we're going to spend those days, I always want to spend at least one morning and one evening in each park. But I don't want it to be the same day. So like Monday, we're going to do Animal Kingdom in the morning and Magic Kingdom in the evening. But on Wednesday, we're going to do Magic Kingdom in the morning. And then eventually at some point, I'm going to get back to Animal Kingdom in the evening. I want those experiences because you need to see all the parks morning and night, whether you're rope dropping or not, whether you're staying out all night or not, whatever. Experience all of the parks in the morning and the evening. It's great.
So, but at one park per day, you can also do that.
Yes, you certainly can.
So the one park per day sales point that I wanted to bring up that I thought you'd catch, but the cost, if you were on a very fixed budget, it is much cheaper. And often in the summers, especially in Florida, Florida residents can get a great deal on doing four parks or 3 parks. The 3-park deal is great. They don't include Magic Kingdom with it, but you can get dirt cheap tickets to do Animal Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, and Epcot very affordably. And you get 1 day at each park as a Florida resident. And that, we're always concerned about cost. When, the one knock everybody throws at Disney is how expensive it is, what the cost is. It's, I can't afford to take my kids there. I'm here to tell you, you can. As a single dad, I was able to take a trip to Disney. It's what you're willing to sacrifice or make changes to do to get into the parks. And there are plenty of people that bring a cooler with ham sandwiches or Walmart food. They grab, DoorDash and have groceries delivered to their room, or Amazon Prime delivers to their room. And then they make sandwiches. They bring their own snacks. They bring bottled water. I've seen people literally walk up to parks with rolling coolers. Now, I don't want to tote that all day long, and I'm personally not going to, but I've seen people do it. So if you wanted to bring food into the parks, there's great places to go. And this brings us to another good point. You know, what are the places that aren't dining establishments that you like to bring some food to and go sit and enjoy and maybe have a snack with the family? Or this is a great topic to talk about, because these are going to spots that are, they could be possibly even outside the park. But where do you like to go have that snack or that cool down moment with your family, away from the crowds, away from the craziness of being in a quick service restaurant? Like, what are some of those places? So I'll give you a minute to think about those. I'm going to start with one of mine. And believe it or not, it's right at Magic Kingdom, and it's going out into the hub, into the grass areas, and sitting by one of the fountains in front of the castle with an ice cream or a sandwich or some snack. And we just sit and people watch for 15 to 20 minutes to get some rest under one of the trees or somewhat in the shade, or we'll try to find a spot to rest. Magic Kingdom has several of those spots throughout the park where you can kind of hide out and enjoy some great snack areas. What would be one for you, Megan?
So I'll stay in Magic Kingdom. And this one is we're going to step into the quick service, sort of. We'll go grab water from like Columbia Harbor House or Pecos Bill. Columbia Harbor House has a second floor. There are usually very few people up there. And you can actually, if you can get a seat by the window, you can watch people going from Haunted Mansion up underneath right next to the restaurant up to Peter Pan. And we love sitting up there. It's usually very quiet. Again, we might take our own food in there, but we'll pick up a drink. We'll buy something in there because, you know, if you're going to go into a dining establishment, probably want to do that. With Pecos Bill, they actually there's a room at the back of that. It's not even necessarily a room. It's almost like an open air kind of area that's got tables and stuff. But again, people don't know that it's there.
Are you talking the one back across from the cart that sells the beignets now?
Yes.
Like on the backside? Yeah.
On the backside. And people go into the main part of the restaurant and they stay in there and they just don't come all the way out. And there's a way to go in on the back end where you don't even go through the restaurant and you can just go into that back room there, but it's quiet. It's a good place to get out of the rain too, if, you know, back on the rain topic. But we go back in there and sit. And then over at Epcot, similar to the hub grass at Magic Kingdom, they now have, I don't even know what they're calling that area now, the whole thing that they redid where my fountain used to be. And now they have benches and stuff.
Unbelievable seating there. I will give them a lot of credit because the Epcot in that new area has insane amounts of seating for guests, which is something that a lot of Disney parks have lacked over the years, is an area to actually go comfortably sit. And they really put a lot of effort into putting seating areas into that space and letting that get utilized. Matt, do you have a couple?
I'm actually struggling with this one because usually, like right now with the kids, snack time is when we're waiting in line for a ride or an attraction. So, I mean, that's
a great point, though.
Right. Keeps them in a
When's snack time from Matt, though?
Usually there is no snack time. Usually it's just kind of go.
You just go. You refuel when you get back to Rhode Island?
Well, it's a matter of just like, you know, if the kids we go back, you know, kids take a nap, I might grab something like at, you know, the food court or something like that. But, you know, I'm usually trying to keep eyes on where everybody's going and where we're going to next. And I kind of like the people watch as we stroll along. So
like we have some other spots too. We enjoy Animal Kingdom. A lot of the, you know, up near the Tree of Life, there's a couple of benches and places you can sit down over some of the animal viewing areas. And those are great places to sit and have a snack and just enjoy some conversation. Behind Flame Tree Barbecue has some of the best seating in Animal Kingdom, without question. You don't necessarily have to go out and, you know, purchase food there. You can go back to those tables and snack on your own food. and overlooking the bowl, the old performance area where the shows were, you can actually sit in that amphitheater too and go into the amphitheater itself and sit down in some of those areas and enjoy a snack or some food. That's another great area with a beautiful view that you can enjoy. We love going in there. And then the other thing is in the Black Spire Outpost and around there in Galaxy's Edge is a really cool place to sit down and grab some food, because you do get Chewbacca, Rey, the Mandalorian, potentially Kylo Ren, and the stormtroopers walking around. Even while you're sitting there, you can watch the interactions of the crowd and the characters. And, I think it's as close as you can get to the Disneyland style of characters wandering the parks, because it's not commonly done at Walt Disney World. But in Galaxy's Edge, they do really kind of focus on that. So that ability is really super cool. And that's one of the cool things about Epic that I will shift over there, is they are really good with having characters walking around the park. So you can kind of sit at these benches and sit in these areas, and you'll still see, Mario and Luigi walking around Nintendo World. You'll still see, going over to the Dark Universe, you'll see Igor, and you'll see Frankenstein and the Invisible Man and different things. That really adds a lot when you're just sitting, spending some time and people watching, and then you still see the characters, you still experience the immersion of the experience. I think that's a great thing that gives you the opportunity to kind of step away from the main crowds, but still enjoy some time with your family, sitting and getting the experience, and not just sitting in a restaurant where, you're secure from views, or you can't necessarily see what's going on, or you're sitting with table service. All those things are great as well. But if you're looking to save money and still maximize some time, these are suggestions that can help you still experience the park themselves. Megan, Bruin.
I've got one more. It's at Hollywood Studios, and this is going to be the most bizarre one, because this sounds just this is the opposite of everything that Hawk just said. There are bathrooms over near the Frozen show, I believe is where it is, and there are benches. The bathrooms, like, you have to take a couple steps down, and they're a little lower than the ground. But there are some benches right before you go down the stairs. It's usually shaded back there. It's not part of a main walkway, so very few people, unless you're going to
I know
the
what
bathroom,
you're talking about now. Yeah.
There's no foot traffic. It is very quiet. It's usually in the shade. I've got a kid who gets overstimulated pretty easily, so we're very aware of places we can go in the park to kind of pull him out for a little bit and make sure that he's regulated before we go back into the insanity. And I'll go over there and just sit with them, maybe get something, feed everybody, get something to eat, get out of the sun. We take little toys into the parks for the kids to play with. They'll play with toys instead of waiting in line for rides or watching a show, and just kind of do something quote unquote normal that we would do at home. And that's really great. And I don't think a lot of people realize those bathrooms are there, because every other bathroom in the park, you got people waiting outside constantly for whoever's inside of them. You don't have nearly as many people over in this area either. It's very quiet. Okay. Don't take food too close to the bathrooms.
Okay, so now you got another topic that we could discuss easily. Again, guys, feel free to jump in with other topics, questions, ask us. But all right, so the ever famous Winnie the Pooh question, the Pooh Corner question: best bathroom at the Disney parks. So
parks.
So this is a tricky one. So because there are some fantastic bathrooms in the parks, and there's some that are not so good, that will always be slammed, always be crazy busy, and may not always be the cleanest, to be totally honest. So for me, one of my favorites is still the Tangled bathroom, which is always very busy at Magic Kingdom, but it's still one of the best themed and generally extremely clean bathrooms in Magic Kingdom, because it is one of the most popular. So we tend to try to utilize that bathroom. At Galaxy's Edge, the bathrooms in the back are always quiet. not the ones down at the front by the Droid Depot. The ones in Black Spire Outpost are there's busy people there, but there's never seems to be people in the bathrooms. It's not a lot of people in there. I don't know why, but those bathrooms are fantastic. At Epcot, we used to love the ones right before you go into Mexico at the old, like the convention building in there. Not usually crowded, usually very clean. The last couple of years, they haven't been as good as they used to be. But we also try to sneak to the ones near Figment that are off kind of hidden around the back. Those are also a very good one at Epcot.
Those creep me out a little bit because they're so far back there. There's nobody back
there. Those are ones that at night I've heard women say they're very uncomfortable using because it is kind of creepy walking back to them.
And it's dark. And yeah, I'm agreeing.
But and then at Animal Kingdom, I really like the ones in Pandora. They're in the ones at the front of Pandora, not the ones at the back by the canteen. But the ones in the front of Pandora or right before you go into Maharaja Jungle Trek, the little bathroom that's got the globe water fountain that's there. And those are always very clean too. And usually not very busy. But those would be mine. So what about you, Matt? Where if you have to if it's time for Pooh Corner, where are you going?
The first one that came to mind was over by Pinocchio by the restaurant over there. Yeah, I think there's one over there that I think is usually pretty clean and not usually terribly busy.
And to be fair, they're all usually pretty clean.
Right.
Some just get overwhelmed with the amount of people that are going in and out. They can't keep up with them fast enough. And as ladies know, there's almost always a line going into a lot of the ladies' rooms where they're like, oh, I really have to pee. And they're like, I can't wait another 45 minutes to go, though. So, like, you've got to have the knowledge to know where those hidden spots are, especially the ladies, so where the crowds aren't. And, being able to go to the parks with Tegan and, with my fiance, guilt by association, I've started to learn like which ones have the weight and which ones don't. So I try to walk to the ones near those so that, we can kill two birds with one stone. But so your Pinocchio house near there, the ones around the back.
I think of kind of like the theme one over by the Frozen ride over in Norway.
Yeah.
That one, it can be a little bit busier, but like the theming of it is just, it's different than most of the other.
And you can walk right out and experience a museum of Greek gods, like or like the Finnish gods. Sorry,
right. So and then you walk right over and get, you just took care of business, and you want to go over and get a Viking coffee, and just kind of refuel the tank. So, that's the only two that really come to mind, like without like thinking.
Okay, all right.
So in Magic Kingdom, I like the ones that are all the way at the back of the park next to the Fantasyland train station and Dumbo and back in the circus area because they're usually not as busy.
Yeah,
love those.
I'll give you. I don't have the bladder to walk that far.
Yeah, I usually don't either. But if for best bathrooms, that's going to take one of them for me, definitely. And then the other ones I really like at Magic Kingdom, and theming notwithstanding, are the ones inside. Is it Tomorrowland Terrace? No, it's not Tomorrowland Terrace. It's Cosmic Rays. Because people don't know that hallway is there with those bathrooms, and there's very few people, and they got great air conditioning in there. I love those bathrooms. At Epcot, the ones back by Remy that they put all the way very back of the park. They're clean. They do become like one of the few hide spots if it does rain where you can actually hide. So the doorways can get kind of crowded if it's raining, but the bathrooms are really nice back there. Okay. Then in Hollywood Studios, the cleanliness comes and goes because of how many people are in here, but I love the Toy Story bathrooms. I love those.
See, I'm going to tell you why. There's a little thing I'm going to tell you about.
You're going to ruin this for me, aren't you?
No, you're not a man, so you don't have to worry about
Oh,
this.
thank goodness.
The urinals are really low in Toy Story Land, and very close to the floor, and they geared it towards kids, but it is not user friendly for the adults as much, and there is splash problems back there. So those are not my favorite to go into because they don't feel clean. They're very good about keeping it mopped up and doing stuff, but it's just it was a poor design structure with adults also utilizing that space. I understand the theming is amazing, but the functionality was not thought as well. But and what's your Animal Kingdom one?
Animal Kingdom. I like the bathrooms at the very front of the park by guest services.
Okay,
Because, and again, I think, there are some people that,
those are the ones we always use.
I love those bathrooms because there's usually not a big line and they're usually pretty clean. Again, because there's not as much people aren't thinking about going to the bathroom as they're going in and out of the park there, maybe as they're leaving later in the day. But usually, you're going to hit the bathroom wherever you are as you're thinking, okay, we're heading home. Oh, we passed a bathroom, go in here. And then by the time you get to the front, you're not going in those bathrooms.
And I just want to point out, I know this is kind of a crappy topic, but it is one that is appreciated by the crowds because I will tell you I have had so many travel clients, and this is an honest to God truth, ask me like, where are the best places to try to use the facilities that aren't going to be out of the way or cause a problem. And there's obviously like so many locations in the parks. One of the other tips I'll give you before we jump to Chris's topic, which he's going to bring up using the hotels and the resorts, take advantage of those. If you're on the monorail, going into the Grand Floridian and going into the restroom there, like it's always clean, it's immaculate. And just pro tip, the deluxe resorts use deluxe toilet paper. They don't use that one layer little, paper sheet. And I'm just saying, if you were all about that cotton touch, like you could stop by the deluxe resorts to use your facilities, and you get what you pay for when you stay there. So
okay, yeah. with toilet paper aside, best bathrooms on property are the public restrooms in Art of Animation. They're fully tiled top to bottom. Like I sent my husband in to take pictures of the men's restroom because I'm not going to be that. I'm not getting myself kicked out of Disney for life for walking into a men's bathroom on purpose. But they're tiled, like floor to ceiling. The women's is all in pink. It's Little Mermaid themed. It is gorgeous. The men's, if I remember the pictures correctly, are like a blue-green tile, but it's on the floor. It's on the walls. It's everywhere. They're gorgeous.
Wow.
They're my favorite bathrooms on.
Sounds like the queue at Battle of Ministry.
Really impressive.
Chris has a topic for us. And again, guys, if you have any questions, for the host, anything you want to know about us, feel free to type a comment, put in a question, give us a topic. Right now, Chris has a topic ready for discussion. Shoot what you got, buddy. Let us see what you got for a topic.
While he's typing that up, Hawk, so back on Park Hopper for you, did you do a mix depending on how length of stay, or what did you used to do when you did not live an hour from Disney?
So we always did Park Hopper for the most part. Actually, I don't think we ever didn't add it, but I definitely wanted to add it on my short stays because much to the contrary of what Matt was stating, which I understand and agree wholeheartedly that I want that freedom all the time. But on short stays, if Tegan and I were flying down on a Friday night and we were only going to be there Friday night, Saturday, and then fly out Sunday night, and we wanted to make sure we got all four parks, we would do Magic Kingdom on Friday night at arrival because it would generally be the one that was open the latest. We might get 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock out of the park. And then, you get that 60 to 90 minutes after park close before you're getting escorted out of the park. So you're not necessarily done when the park closes. You can take your time coming out, which I think is super important. But the other side of that is, that Saturday day, we would try to do the 4-park day. we would go through and try to park hop, and we'd start at the earliest open and, do our 3, 4, 5 rides at Animal Kingdom in an hour or 2 hours and get out. But we would usually be the first people in the park. And when I say that, I mean it literally. We were often the first people to enter a park in the morning because we would be there 90 minutes before open. We'd have breakfast at the security stations, like waiting for security to get there. They would often come up while we were finishing up our coffee and donuts or sandwiches or whatever. So we always park hop. But I think doing it on the short term trips, if you're limited in days and you want to see all the parks, it's a great way to be able to do that. Chris says, do you stay at a specific hotel or resort for specific transportation purposes or even closer accessibility to the park? Yes. Do you? Okay. So Matt, give me your breakdown on what that looks like for you and what is important for the transportation purposes and what parks you may want to stay close to.
So for us, it's more or less the transportation purposes. I mean, parks. I mean, we can hop on a bus and go anywhere. But with having a stroller right now and not having to collapse it on the Skyliner is a game changer. You push it in. I got my 2-year-old in there. He can still see out and see what's going on. You wheel him back out, and you go into the park, or there's a transfer station, whatever you got to do. But so we'll stay at Pop or Art of Animation for that purpose. Is that Skyliner is, and plus it's not usually very busy. Like it continuously flows. Unlike you're not always waiting for a bus, and if it gets crowded, you got to wait for another one. Hopefully, there's one a couple minutes down the road. This one you might be in line. I think I've waited maybe 5 minutes at the Skyliner at one point when it's been busy, but it's like, okay, 4 or 6 people at a time, and okay, like I said, with the stroller, push it on, you can still get 6 full-grown adults on there with the stroller, and just go. So for us, we stay at Pop. We stayed at Art of Animation our last trip for the first time, and for that reason was the Skyliner.
So I know Chris, I've booked some of his trips. I know Chris, and he's putting it right there. He loves staying at Pop, loves the Skyliner, but he also loves the theming at Pop, like just the way it's done. I love the fact that Pop with the Skyliner, you can access Art of Animation or Pop and walk around both resorts, which if you're first timing to Disney and looking to kill some time or have a day that isn't a park day, I highly recommend taking the Skyliner over to both Pop Century and Art of Animation and walking through the areas around the hotel, because the theming just at Art of Animation is incredible. You feel like you're walking through Cars Land.
And if you've got a Cars Land fan, you got to go to Art of Animation because it's the only place you can get it at Disney right now.
Yeah, and Finding Nemo is well themed, incredibly well done. Little Mermaid, Lion King. You really just feel like you're walking through some of the sets and scenes. And for little kids, it's especially magical. As an adult, I enjoy walking through Pop more because there's the cultural icons from each generation that are out there decorating the resort. And it's a combination of some of the movies or some of the characters, but also Rubik's Cubes and Mr. Potato Head and the giant telephone and, the foosball. The giant foosball cracks me up. But they have all these different things that you can go experience that I think are really important to be able to go enjoy. So I agree with you, Matt, 100%. The Skyliner is the method of transportation that affects where I stay because I want that access. And even though Caribbean Beach is on that line, I will never stay at that resort again. It is just too big for me. It's not one of my favorites. I know they've made a lot of, with the Skyliner, it is a lot more tempting to me to go back to that resort because especially if I could get on the end near the Riviera where I could just walk from my room, not staying at a deluxe, and walk from my room over to have breakfast at Topolino's, you are winning me over. So like there is a chance that with the right room, I would do that. But I think the Skyliner is a game changer for being able to stay at Disney and to your enjoy the ease of driving your scooter onto the Skyliner, not having to collapse your stroller. If you put a family of 10 on a bus, you're probably sitting in multiple locations. A family of 10 can get in a Skyliner car and all ride together. Like, there are just so many pluses to that mode of transportation that we've talked about it before. That needs to be expanded at Disney World. It needs to be utilized far more than it currently is. I know it's super expensive to build and construct and do, but that has been a game changer at Disney World, in my opinion. So I'm definitely with you that Skyliner resorts are where I want to be, and that would be why. What about you, Megan?
I'll agree. We never considered transportation before the Skyliner was built. It wasn't, we don't mind the buses. I'm not one of the people. There are a lot of people who don't care for the Disney buses. I'm not one of them. They don't bother me. I enjoy them. I enjoy anything where I don't have to drive and fight the crowds, and it's included in the cost of admission. So sign me up for a bus all day, every day. But the Skyliner is the part where when it comes to my family vacations, now when I go for trainings and when I'm going trying to do something new, I'll stay, at places I haven't stayed before. But if my family is going, we are staying on the Skyliner because it is fast, it is easy. We do have to collapse our stroller because we have a side-by-side, and if you've got the side-by-side, you have to collapse them getting on the Skyliner. You don't have to on the monorail, so we didn't have to collapse it when we stayed at Contemporary, but I don't like the Epcot monorail, so I won't stay at the monorail resorts. But Skyliner, piece of cake, so easy to use, except when you get stuck on it up high, and I'm terrified, and that's awful for me. But other than that, that's the best thing.
So other than the hate issue for Megan and the potential fear factor, so to Chris's point, staying for closer accessibility to the parks, that also works for me on the Skyliner because we love Hollywood Studios and I love to eat, so I can deal with Epcot for food. I'm not a fan of Epcot as a park. I'm still not. I love Guardians, but to me, it's not worth going to Epcot just for Guardians for us. We wind up there a lot, meeting up with friends because when our friends come down, they all want to go to Epcot, and we're just not Epcot people.
Not everybody is.
I'm not. I can't speak for Jen. But our favorite park is Hollywood Studios. So being on the Skyliner is super great. And one of the other things we really enjoy is walking around the boardwalk and walking over to Beach Club. So, going to Beaches and Cream and grabbing a quick ice cream or shake, making a reservation to eat there. If you are looking to get steps in, which for Jen and I, we often go to the parks in the evening to get steps in, we park at Hollywood Studios, walk to Epcot, walk around Epcot, maybe get a snack, walk over to Beaches of Cream, maybe get dinner, walk back to Hollywood Studios, maybe do a Tower of Terror, a quick walk around the park, and then we go home. But it gets us plenty of steps in. Those are the nights we may not even ride the Skyliner. But we love the freedom that if we're a little tired, we just jump on the Skyliner and we can still get there. Or if there's a thunderstorm, we jump on a boat. There's always some way to get there. And it's nice that they have the multiple aspects of transportation that you can select in that realm. Do you guys agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. Beach Club is my favorite resort. And for my next trip, we were supposed to be staying there. And then my parents jumped on board and were like, but we don't want to pay that. So can we stay at Pop instead? And I said, yes.
Yes, you can. You can take the Skyliner over to see us at the Beach Club.
We agreed. we agreed. We decided we would upgrade and do dining plan, which we weren't originally planning on doing. So we've chosen dining over resort this time. So we're going back to Pop. I love Pop. I've not like we stayed at Pop last time. I love Pop Century. But Beach Club is my happy place. But if I'm gonna go with the dining plan. I'm gonna focus on.
All right, so we probably have time. Matt, you real quick, give me your rundown on that thought, and we probably have time for one more question from fans or from a viewer. So if you have a question, please pop it in. Definitely appreciate Chris jumping on and talking. Appreciate Nick sending some questions tonight. But we probably have time for one more. But Matt right now is going to talk on resort selection for him. So how does that play for you?
Like I said, it's Skyliner all the way. I mean, as far as using the buses, my wife and I used it the last time and didn't have any issues with it. I had no problem with the bus transportation. Even before the Skyliner, that was really the only way. So you kind of get used to either the weights or if it's a full bus is how it works. And with a stroller, you pack it up, we have an easy up stroller. So just pull the strap and up it goes. So It's fairly easy. The kids will just sit or stand next to me or, so they're not, they're safe. But the Skyliner, it's like I said, it's just the most practical for us right now.
See, that's awesome because, and it's weird for me now to not have littles and go to the park. And moving here, I will tell you, was a huge reality check for me because we suddenly weren't going to the park with a backpack. We weren't going to the park with, I literally bring my phone. Like, I walk into the parks and I have my phone. The first year I lived here, I was like, I feel like I'm missing stuff. You know what I mean? And you quickly come to realize, like, if it rains, you can leave. You don't need to worry about jackets or a change of shoes. You're 40 minutes from your house. Drive home wet, put your little butt warmer on in the car and toast your little tushy and drive your butt home and then change. But you don't need to worry about the food aspect because you can eat before you leave. Like, doing Disney or theme parks as a local is such a different experience. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. And I didn't at first. I remember moving here and Megan, we were talking about it with Jen when we met up with you in the park. Mm-hmm. That, when I moved here, I would ask Jen, well, what's your favorite restaurant at Disney? And she's like, I don't know. I don't really go to them. And I was like, what are you talking about? How do you not go to the restaurants at Disney? And she was like, I eat before I come. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. And so it was a weird but it was a weird transition because when you travel here as a destination, part of that vacation or experience or going to the parks is your dining experience. Part of that experience is your hotel experience. And when you're local, you lose aspects of that and you simplify what you need to bring. It's it's spray some sunscreen, go to the parks. And when and if they're too crowded, like, this is crazy to me. If we go over there and it's too crowded, we will often say, it's too crowded, we're going to go home. And we'll be there for 5 minutes and we'll just go do some errands or do some other experiences. We'll do something different. And as a local, it has so changed how I do the parks, how I experience things. And I think one of the amazing things is to talk to people like you guys that are still in the position where you're coming a couple times a year. It's a big event. You plan it out. I mean, I missed some of those things because I loved doing all that. Now, other people say they live vicariously through me now because I can just walk over to the park and go when I'm ready to go. Well, not walk. I do have to drive. But, we're going to go to the park in the afternoon after work some days, and I'm there for a couple hours and then we come home. But while that's an envy of some things, it's also a very interesting dynamic that I think a lot of people don't think about. So everybody does do parks differently, and you talk about wanting to stay on a Skyliner or be able to enjoy a certain hotel because it makes it easier for you and your family. Megan, you have things you love about being able to come to Disney and do. And I think one of the things that really makes Disney so magical, or Universal for that matter, or even the parks like SeaWorld or Busch Gardens, is that people go to experience those parks for totally different reasons. And it's really fascinating to start diving into that. So like some of the things we talked about tonight, I think are really cool just to get into, because people don't think about a lot of the topics we discussed tonight in their planning phase, but they should. These are things that you should consider, and you should experience and try different things. You know, um, I see we've got another comment coming in. Like, got many experiences. She's coming down to Disney in a couple of weeks. Actually, next week she'll be here. So I get to say hi to a friend that'll be down in Disney next week as well. And it's amazing, though, to live here now and continue to live vicariously through my friends or other people that come to experience the parks on a breather. And even you guys, like Megan, when we met up in the park, we had an absolute blast that night.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
It was so fun. So many laughs, great pictures. We're able to help share making memories with people and point out things that we may know because we get to go a little often that that you may not, necessarily know. And we can show you little tidbits. And it's fascinating. The things that Disney offers, or Universal, there's so many Easter eggs, so many different things, but you have to know how to take advantage of the little tricks that will help you maximize your trip. And that's one of the things we want to try to do with this podcast, is talk about some of the things you can find in other places. So I appreciate everybody joining us tonight. I appreciate Matt, Megan, sharing your experiences and your thoughts. I think it's a wonderful thing that we're trying to do here with you guys. And we look forward to you joining us on other nights to talk a little bit about what it is that ticks for you with the theme parks. What can we do to help you plan a better trip for you and your family? What can we do for you to help you learn a little more, or answer some questions, or relieve some fears you may have? Maybe you're not taking this trip because you feel it's too much. Let us answer questions for you and help you out. We're going to try to do an open mic night at least once a month here on the show. I know Megan is working on lining up a guest for a future show coming up right now. I'm working on a couple of guests that I'm trying to get in contact with that have worked for Disney, done various things. We're trying to get the creator of Ariel, actually, the artist who did Ariel. He also worked on Beauty and the Beast. And his dad actually created Maleficent. We're still trying to talk to him to get him onto the show sometime in the future. So we want to bring you some quality shows, some quality podcasts, just give you the information you're looking for. We enjoy being here for you. We're just looking for people to step up and participate a little more. We're still going to do our game nights. Chuck will be back next week, so you don't have to deal with me and my rambling.
Assuming he doesn't fall overboard.
Well, yes. But he's doing quite well. He was posting earlier, so I know he's having a good time. But I want to thank you guys for joining us tonight. Remember to follow us online. You can check us out on YouTube, Facebook. Follow and stick around with us. There's a lot more coming on this show that we're just going to continue to get better and touch on things that we're really excited to bring to you. So thank you for watching tonight. On behalf of Megan and Matt and Chuck in the middle of the Caribbean somewhere, want to say thank you and we will see you next time.
Mousekast Podcast thanks you for listening to our show. When you let the mind meet the magic, it's where the deep thoughts flow. This is where the mind meets the magic. We dive a little deeper every time. Theme parks, cruise ships, and travel. If you don't listen, maybe now it's time. Tonight was an amazing open mic night. Our viewers brought their best. We all love the chat and the fun. Mousekast listeners beat all the rest.